Hey folks, today I'm going to show you how to wire wrap a shark tooth into a pendant for either a necklace or a bracelet, keychain, something like that. For many decades, my family and I hunted for shark's teeth in South Sarasota, Florida, and just have a treasure trove really of these things. Some things we have found, for instance, this is a piece of agatized coral, super beautiful piece. These are fossilized corals that minerals have gotten into, and it has enabled these crystals to form in there, agate crystals. So I've only ever found like 2 pieces of that here. I love those, they're beautiful. Okay, this is the scoot from what would have been a pretty darn large alligator at one point. And the scoot is here. It was kind of their backbone. It's called the osteoderm, if you want to be technical. This is our granddaddy find, which was a tibia from a giant sloth. My husband actually found this under the waters of the Gulf of Mexico because Florida used to be below the water, a lot of it, and at other times there was much more land than there is now. So just due to climate change, it's kind of shifted the amount of land mass. In fossils, you'll find them where you don't think you would find them because of that. These are just miscellaneous fossils found on Minnesota Key. There's a lot of this stuff, very cool. And they've just been tossed in the waves and kind of thrown up on the shore by the waves. This is turtle. These are some of my favorites because you can still see like the turtle impressions from the shell. And a fossil is just where the mineral has gone in and replaced bone. So there's not actually the bone here. This is now mineralized bone is what it is. And last but not least, the purpose of this video is the shark's tooth. These are all shark's teeth that have been found like in Minnesota, the Venice Beach area. And these are actually pretty good size ones and pretty good teeth. When you get one that's got like all 3 corners, that's a good tooth. And a lot of them don't have that, but for the purpose of wire wrapping, it's very helpful because those corners are what keep your wire in place and make it into a pendant. I have found 2 big teeth in my years of hunting. This was an extinct great white shark. This is an extinct Carcharodon megalodon, which is called a meg. And it's the only one I've ever found. It was a juvenile, but I was happy. I will take it. This was found actually in the woods next to the parking lot. So this would have been another example of the fossil not being in the water now, because at one time the shark was swimming, you know, over where the land is. So that's it. Enough of the history. Let's get to wire wrapping. Okay, so to wire wrap with shark's tooth, here I have a couple of shark's teeth that were found on Minnesota Key in Englewood, Florida. And I'm going to start with about 5 inches of a coated copper wire. I like the coated copper wire because it really doesn't tarnish too much. And it keeps its sheen, and it's just a nice warm color. A lot of people like it. It looks pretty with like every color too. Okay, I'm going to use the flat side here to go towards my jewelry piece. That will just mean less filing later. So there's a flat side and a pointy side to a wire cutter typically. Depends on the type of wire cutter for the most part, but the pointy, the angled side here will give you more of a sharp edge. So just to prevent filing, I'm going to go with my flat side here and snip it. I hold this because it will go flying otherwise. So now I'm going to file my ends. I don't want to like go like flat here. I want to go to the edges of this thing and just kind of take off any burrs like this. So I'm at this angle. I'm just taking off the burrs like so. I'm twirling this in my left hand, and I'm just doing like that with my right. Just lightly, don't do it too heavy. You don't want to be bending that wire, because then you gotta unbend it, and why do that if you don't have to? So, okay, second side, I'm going to file my second side now. Same thing, just twirling that in my fingers like that. And just gently doing the very, very edge. And then I don't feel any Sharpies, so that is what I want. Now I'm going to take a step nose round plier. I like the step nose because you have prescribed sizes. There's, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different sizes that you can use. I use that very, very extensively in jewelry design because I just literally write on my drawings step 3, and I know how to reproduce something then. I'm going to come down a 1/2 inch on here. You can measure that if you are more comfortable measuring it, but you just kind of set your plier right there on the ruler, and off you go. Okay, so now I'm going to bend this really tightly around here. I am not doing it loose because then I'm not going to have a round shape. I'm going to squish this together a little bit. I'm actually going to use my bent nose plier to tighten this down. I don't typically do that, but I was trying to look through the camera to make sure that you could see my hands. And now everything is flying everywhere. Okay. So anyways, continue this, and okay. So there we are. Now, we're going to take the same step nose plier, and we're going to go to the smallest, like where the wires kind of meet here. And you're going to make an L right there. Okay. Had this cloth down because there was a glare off of the one light, so I'll put that back there to get rid of the glare. Okay. Now I need to retrieve another shark tooth because mine went on the floor. Shark tooths, teeth, they are slippery little suckers, and so try to keep your fingers on them. Okay, if not, just pick it up off the floor. Okay, so anyways, now we need to take this little end here and we need to wrap it in around this other side. So we're going to take this, put it back on our step plier, and kind of come to the base here where this meets, and we're going to bring it around. So that's what we have. Okay, now I'm going to wrap this whole little tail down this long wire. Using the bent nose plier again. That's typically the tool that I will use because it gets into spots that the regular plier has a more difficult time, a straight nose plier has a more difficult time getting into. So it kind of reaches in there. So I take that and I'm just literally rotating it down. Taking that in there and I'm rotating it in. Not pressing too hard, just working it. There's still a little tiny tip there. We don't want that left because that's a scratchy. And in jewelry making, you're supposed to get rid of the scratchy, so that's what we do. All right, so now we have this. This is going to set behind the shark's tooth. There's the center, that's your bail, that's what it hangs from. And the idea now is that we're going to capture both the left side and then the right side of this tooth with the wire. Okay, so it's going to start behind here. I'm going to give it a tiny little bend right there, just to make it line up, because that's how we're going to have it kind of lined up. So this side here, we bent that wire. It's now going to come behind our left, kind of our left wing of our shark's tooth, I guess you could say. All right, now I'm going to hold this in place in the center, right above that little center notch that's in most teeth. You can see it right there. So I'm going to hold that in place as best I can, because as you've already seen, they're slippery. And I'm going to try to bring it up right in the crux here of this tooth without pulling this out of the middle, without pulling the bail out of the center. Okay, so I've come up onto this left side. I've captured that left side right there. Okay, now continuing to make sure that my bail is staying in the center. I'm going to come here and then I'm going behind. I'm going to draw this behind to this side so that I can then capture this side. Okay, so I'm here, right there, behind, and bringing it to the forward. To the forward, there we go, there's a new word. Bringing it to the front. Let's bring it to the forward. Okay, so now I'm here, and this side is going to come up behind, because right now we have that left side capture, but we got to get the back of my right wing captured. Okay, so now we're going to come behind here and bring it up behind like that. And now we're going to, you've got a V on the front, you got the V on the front, the V on the back under each side. And now we're going to wrap this up around our bail. Okay, so here we go. There's your first full wrap. We've got quite a bit of extra wire here, which is fine. For a 5-inch wire, it could actually do a larger tooth than this, but this is the size you typically find. I just allow a little extra so people aren't getting nervous there. Okay. You don't want to run out of wire, so it's better to have too much than to have too little. Okay, so now we're back to wrapping this down. I'm using the bent nose pliers, doing the exact same thing that I did in the beginning of the wrap. And I'm just going to keep on drawing it around till I get to the top. So, come on, focus. So right now, it is like that. Okay. Now, I know I'm about to run out of space, so I want to snip off this extra. Sometimes I will take this and snip it down a little bit, and then you can like turn it into like a little loop-de-loop. You know, that's basically like this, and you can kind of just put it onto the tooth somewhere. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to keep it simple. I'm going to use the flat side of my plier, of my wire cutter rather, again, and I'm going to leave about that much, probably that much. I'm going to leave myself enough room to file, because I know I filed that end, but if it doesn't turn out that it's exact and you need to cut something, then you're supposed to really file again. So I'm going to take that file and just, I try to protect the wire kind of with my fingers. One of the reasons my hands are so beat up is I make jewelry. Okay. In fact, probably the reason. Okay, so anyways, now I am just filing those little scratchies off the edges, and I have that left. Now that obviously has to be tucked in. So I'm going to take that tip and my bent nose plier, the trusty bent nose, And I'm going to just work that end in, and I could still see it kind of right there a little bit. So I'm going to work on getting that up here and down, squished it down. Okay, wrapped in. Pretty well tucked. Okay, so this is the front side of the toothy. 3 feet. And there is the back side. Okay, now we're going to hang it by a cord, and that will be that, and we'll have our necklace.